to build an unshakable self-trust through small circumstances. So, you know, I feel like a lot of my fear is coming from me not knowing how big I can make this, you know what I'm saying? Or me being fearful of how big I can make this life or how bad it can get, but I don't really think about that. But basically what I'm saying with this self-trust is you can't trust yourself to do little things. How can you trust yourself to do the big things? Like starting a business, starting a channel, you know, taking on responsibility, going to the gym, speaking, coaching, you know. These are just my examples of how am I going to trust myself to do these big and better things when I can barely trust myself to do the little things sometimes, you know. And really what it is keeping your word. You know, your word is law. What you say is law. You are the master and the slave at the same time, literally. And master as in mastering your mind over your matter, which is your flesh. You know, they say your flesh is weak. Getting over the flesh, man. Vices, addictions, shit. Even me abusing weed, and it's not recreational no more. So how do you build self-trust through these small circumstances? Well, like I said, your word is law. So if you tell yourself you're going to read for 5 minutes a day after you wake up at 5 a.m., that's what happens. You know, you wake up at 5 a.m., you read 5 minutes, and after that, you might say, you know what, then after I, you know, get myself washed up and wash my face, brush my teeth, all that, get ready in the morning, you can add a 5 minute meditation. But actually doing it though, you know what I'm saying? And then after you do it, you're like, wow, it really wasn't that bad. Because our minds are wired in a way to be comfortable. Your mind is going to tell you to do the thing that's comfortable. So when you start doing different things that might be uncomfortable, your brain is going to tell you, hey man, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are we doing here? Like, you're fucking up. Like, why are we doing this? And your brain is gonna hate you for a little minute, especially if you're trying to change. It's probably gonna hate you. You're gonna hate yourself. You'll be like, why am I doing this? Why? But you can't think about that. You gotta think about the future. This is for your future self. You know what I mean? It's for your future self. So you doing these little tasks throughout the day and changing things is what builds your trust. Because you'll tend to notice you'll go throughout the day, start doing things, and you're not even consciously doing it. And it's really because you've been in a routine of doing it for so long, you know? And it's almost like if you tell your brain to stop doing something, then it's going to be like, okay, well, what are we going to do in the meantime if we're not going to do this? Like, how are we going to replace this with that? And like I said, I guess people have different vices, you know, with smoking, drinking, gooning, probably, you know, lust, sex, all that. But if you can get to a point where you can do these small tasks, you'll end up noticing how your self-trust starts building up. You say you're going to bed at a certain time, you go to bed. You say you're going to wake up at a certain time, you wake up. You say you're going to meditate, you meditate. You say you're going to read, you read. You're going to go for a walk, you walk. You exercise, you exercise. Because you start becoming this version of yourself that starts doing so that you can have the effects that you want. Because a lot of us are worried about the end effect of what we got going on and not worrying about the cause, which is the inner self. You know what I mean? Which leads me to my next point of when people say, you know, you have to see it to believe it. I think I want to switch that around and say, no, you have to believe it to see it, not see it to believe it. And this is part of the meditation part where I was saying, you know, you have to see it in your mind and you have to know it exists so that you could take the certain steps to where you need to go. Because a lot of people talk about this, a lot of manifestation people, they talk about how in science, when you look at certain possibilities, it's like the atoms start to collapse in real time in front of you. And it's really magic. Now, the only thing that makes people not believe or makes people not understand is that it takes time. So you have to show up as this version of yourself every day, no matter what it takes. Because once you start showing up as this version of yourself doesn't miss opportunities. This version of yourself doesn't get nervous. Or maybe your version does get nervous, but it doesn't care about that. It still acts. Like I said, you have to believe it to see it, not see it to believe it. Basically, also saying that don't look at your physical circumstances and base yourself on that. Like, if you're in a place where you don't want to be right now, that's not you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to be there for that long. Everything's going to pass. Time heals wounds. You know, you want to embody the version of you that's in your wanted reality right now. And once you start doing that, sometimes you might end up with a smile on your face while doing it, even thinking about it. And that might be all it takes to just switch your energy to start feeling and attracting. I say, manifesting is almost like, because Black Ops 2 just came back out, and for some reason I say manifesting is almost like stealing emblems. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you go to the barracks and you see what emblem you want, and you like, okay, you like, okay, I like this what I want. I want this. I want to go here. I want to copy this, and basically I want this same thing. And what do? You basically just copy the emblem. Once you do a few tricks, once you do a few buttons, it might take you a little time. You might not get it right the first time. But after you do it a few times, gang, what do you know? Boom, you got that same emblem, and it didn't even take you that long. And now that emblem's yours. And now, the crazy thing about it is you can do multiple emblems. You can take multiple emblems. You can have it your way, however you want. I just want to see how this sounds too. Maybe I'll keep this, make this another video. Maybe not. I don't know. But same time, same thing as always. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one.